going to go ahead and hop right into the top story. And of course, that is the Dandy Dozen list that was released by the Clarion Ledger. And Blake, I know that you had a lot of thoughts on this, but we can go ahead and go through them all right now, 1 through 12. Looking at number 12, Darion Albert out of Jackson Academy, defensive lineman there, committed to Tennessee.
Can I tell you a story about him? So I'm sitting next to the old Clarion Ledger writer, Langston Newsome, and we're watching JA versus MRA at Jackson Academy, and this was his freshman year.
Yeah.
And big old, I think number 50 is just manhandling MRA's line. And Langston, I go, man, this dude's really good. I wonder where he's going. Well, you look up the roster and it says freshman, and I go, oh, all right, you knew right away. And it's crazy because Jackson Academy actually is the only one with 2.
This is the first time Jackson Academy has had any players in the Dandy Dozen, and this year they had 2, which is unreal. At number 11, Corey Wells out of Petal, and says 7A school there, 6'5", 300 pounds, heading to Texas. And you're talking about a force there, and Petal has been competitive in the last few years, but they're in a tough region with teams like Brandon and teams like that.
Yeah, speaking of Petal, and I don't want to go too far off topic when it comes to this Dandy Dozen list, because I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen enough of Corey Wells. I've only watched him play one time live, and he was solid and really good, but I'm going to trust the recruits. Texas isn't really missing on many recruits, so let's just start there.
That's true.
On another note, they get Marcus Boyles back. They have a kid like that, and their sophomore running back is a top 100 recruit and he's already a 4-star on 247. So they have some talent. Their quarterback's supposed to be really good too. Sneaky team, I'm just saying.
But going to number 10, J.J. Hill out of Tupelo, and he made a lot of noise at the end of last season in his big 7A championship game that led Tupelo to the championship. He's heading to Mississippi State after this season. A little bit, as far as the recruiting trail, he's a little bit, I would say probably a little underrated, but he did make the Dandy Dozen list here.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just gonna tell you exactly. I'm not saying I did this because I wasn't the only one. Trust me, there was a lot of people that did this. I talked with Michael Chavez, one of my good friends, the guy that does the list, right? He's the one that picks the list. He called me. He said, "What do you think?" Right? So I had an opinion on this list. I didn't do the list. I had an opinion. I said he had to be on the list. I said, "Look, I understand he's not one of the top 12 quote unquote recruits. However, he might be the best high school football player our state has next year, and he is a recruit. And at that point, he has to be on the list if he's arguably the best high school football player, because it is a high school football list at the end of the day." And final thought on J.J. Hill. Every single year, there is a player that is ranked 20 to 30 that ends up in the top 10 in the final 247 rankings. It's okay to trust your eyes. And we can all trust our eyes and go, yeah, he's 21, 22, 25, depending on what you're looking at. But he's top 10. I promise you. We have eyes. Trust him.
100%. And also, you kind of wonder. You're just saying, this might be the best player we have in our state, but he's also not really a top 10 recruit. See, that's one thing I don't understand. But the details of it, it matters.
You got to go to those camps. You got to go to those camps, and you got to show up at those camps, because that's where those national guys see you. Otherwise, it's just relying on local stuff. And, sometimes people get lost in the shuffle, although our local media is really good. So it's just how it is.
Yeah, I guess you just have to just focus on winning every football game you play in high school. But okay. But yeah, J.J. Hill definitely
going to the end zone.
J.J. Hill definitely deserves his spot. Tylen Wilson out of Pascagoula, a defensive back. He's heading to Texas A&M. Last year got 6 interceptions, which is pretty good, because if you think about high school football, man, if you know that somebody's picking the ball off, you're not even going to throw it to them. So just thinking that you still get 6 interceptions, very impressive there. Tylen Wilson out of Pascagoula.
Yeah, no, supreme athlete. That's why he is where he is. And you talk about creating the issue. You said it perfectly. You don't throw at people that can pick the ball off. There was always a joke that Jarrell Rivas was never going to lead the league in interceptions because you just don't throw it. You just don't throw it near him. So that's where a kid like Wilson getting 6, but I promise you he won't get 6 this year, and it won't be because he got worse as a player. It'll be because teams just didn't want to throw it in his direction.
Probably another player that's going to be in the same position as number 8, Preston Ashley out of Brandon, 5'10", 170 pounds. He's heading to Colorado to play for Coach Prime. And I know that listen, that's got to be a dream. That's got to be a dream for athletes nowadays. You want to play for Coach Prime. But Preston Ashley coming in at number 8 and plays for Brandon, plays for a big-time program there.
Yeah, and he can play both ways too. Talk about Deion Sanders and playing both ways and being that type of athlete. I've seen the videos. Preston was really excited to commit to Colorado. So again, just another wonderful kid, because that's also very important in this whole process. There's a lot of wonderful, human beings. I think that's a really cool thing for him to go play at Colorado.
Number 7, you got Xavier McDonald out of Morton High School, 6'3", 160-pound wide receiver. He's heading to Sacramento State, which is a very interesting choice. Now, Sacramento State, they're getting a lot of NIL money put in there for being an FCS school. You got Shaquille O'Neal as your general manager of NIL. They even have Mike Bibby head coaching their basketball program. So they're doing a lot of stuff out there, but they were able to lure Xavier McDonald out there, number 16 wide receiver in the country. Do you have any, before we kind of dive into him as a player, do you have any insight on that, on why he chose Sacramento State?
No insight. However, I don't want to speak for him. I don't know if he's going to actually go to Sacramento State. I'll believe it when I see it, right? I guess there's so much time, and I know that schools now will pay you just to commit because they want to try to create buzz for other people to be more willing to commit. Which is just out of this world that you would pay for somebody that may not even come. But beside the point, I love if the contracts were enforced. And what is a verbal commitment anyways, right? It used to be your bond is your word, but I guess not anymore. By the way, he has a brother that's a really good football player too, if you want to met. So the McDonald's at more in 2 brothers, a brother that's a junior that may be a dandy himself. Talk about some ballers out there.
And at number 6, we got Demarius Yates out of Kemper County, running back, heading to Ole Miss. And he was a standout last year. Like, you heard about him and heard about the numbers he was putting up. 1,339 rushing yards, over 2,000 all-purpose yards with 15 touchdowns. And he makes the list at number 6, Demarius Yates.
Yeah, 100%. Speedster, just an absolute, just straight burner. He hits the edge and that's it. I think it's really interesting that he and J.J. Hill are the only 2 committed to a Mississippi school at the moment. Bralon Wac's the only one that hasn't committed on the list. However, none of his top 4 are Mississippi schools, so we can throw that out the window because there's 0% chance he's going to a Mississippi school, at least at the moment. It's kind of interesting that, Yates is the one person that Lane Kiffin said, I'm really interested in you. And if you know anything about Lane Kiffin and running backs, he doesn't miss very often. He has had some of the best running backs, whether it's Reggie Bush, Mark Ingram, Quinshon Judkins. I mean, any school he goes to has good running backs, so that speaks a lot.
Then you got Jace Matthews at number 5 out of Greene County, 6'1", 185 wideout, heading to Auburn. You're talking about a big year last year, over 1,100 receiving yards with 15 touchdowns. Jace Matthews coming in at number 5.
Most underrated kid in the state that's a big-time recruit. He's the most underrated. I love this kid's game. He has every ability that you need in a wide receiver. Maybe he isn't physically imposing in the sense that I don't think he's, jacked out of his mind. However, when you're as lengthy as he is with that level of speed, any type of 10-pound muscle that he puts on, that's it. I mean, we're talking about a guy that's going to be playing on Sundays. I mean, I'm speaking for I can't explain enough how good I think this kid really is, which gets me to the point. This might be one of the best wide receiver classes we've seen since I think it was 15 or 16 where they had A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Tristan Keys, Jace Matthews. Bralon Wac's going to be playing wide receiver too, funny enough, because at Hartfield too. Jace Matthews, I'm telling you, one of the most underrated good recruits in our state.
Then you got T.J. White out of Jackson Academy. This is the other J.A. fella on the Dandy Dozen, and he's also heading to Tennessee as well as his teammate. So they're gonna they're gonna head up to be volunteers together. He's a linebacker, 6'1", 230 pounds, 102 total tackles, 61 solo tackles, monster numbers, 11 sacks last year. I mean, that's dominance from TJ
How,
White.
how are you going to run on JA? How are you going to run on him? Because you have those two kids going to Tennessee, the two Dandy members, but that's not it. How are you going to run on that team? You're not.
No idea.
They're the
No
favorites.
idea.
I mean, they're the favorites. They're the favorites. No, I'm sorry. Coaching matters, and they have a really good coach. But at some point, the talent can just be so immense you can't make it up.
Number 3, you got Nolan Wilson out of Picayune. Picayune, very, very good football program down there in Picayune. He's a defensive lineman, 6'4", 250 pounds. He's heading to Alabama. And you're talking about 6 sacks, 7 forced fumbles. A lot of good stuff there from Nolan Wilson there in Picayune.
Yeah, you remember where Jamonte went? Originally, the other Picayune defensive end from a couple years ago that was one of the highest ranked recruits, he went to Auburn. So you talk about the last two great Picayune defensive linemen, one going to Auburn, one going to Alabama, and they're both, big time 4-star, borderline 5. And I go, well, that's kind of funny, right? The Picayune Alabama connection / Auburn.
Then we get to the top 2. Number 2, you got Bralon Wac out of Hartfield Academy, defensive back, 5'11", 195. He's the number 1 safety in the country, and he is not committed yet. A lot of people think he's might be going to Ohio State, but that's one of his top 4. Don't really know yet. August 27th is supposedly when he will announce. He had 8 interceptions last year, 1,126 all-purpose yards, 19 total touchdowns, and 39 tackles. You're talking about a great player right there, and dominant in his area. And Hartfield's won the last 2 MAIS championships as well.
Yeah, go look at some pictures of what he looks like today. I don't think he's 195 anymore. I think he's bigger than that. He has really taken this offseason seriously, and it's obvious in his body. I mean, you can see his arms. They're popping. You're like, wow, okay. We're talking physicality now too. And if he's going to play safety, depending on whether you're free, or what position you play, you may have to go hit somebody. You may have to come down, and he looks like somebody that can play safety, but also come down and play a little linebacker too. He's all world, 5 stars.
Yeah, and then you got number 1, the one and only Tristan Keys, and we knew that would be the case. He's the number 16 overall player in the country, ranked top player in Mississippi, 6'2", 180 pounds. He's heading to LSU out of Hattiesburg. Hattiesburg had a great season last year. They were in the 6A state championship ball game. They fell to Grenada, but they went 13-1 on the season, and he was a great player, 1,275 receiving yards for 14 touchdowns. And when you're a guy like Tristan Keys, and I do the Terry high school football games, and Terry and Hattiesburg in the same region. I saw him play up close. And, you have to focus on a guy like that. And when you're being focused on and you're still able to get touchdowns, get receptions, get yards, it's very impressive.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, when you're the number 1 ranked wide receiver in the country, you're going to LSU. And I don't think that recruiting battle's over anyways, by the way, too. Because when you're that level, when you're a number 1 wide receiver, when you're a top 3 player in the country, the recruiting battle never stops, and coaches probably never stop calling, even after you've committed. He's excellent, and I want to make this note. I believe he might actually be, at the end of this year, if he stays where he is in his ranking and his numbers, he actually may be the highest rated recruit Mississippi has had since 2000, according to 247. Because I did the list recently of the top highest rated recruits since 2000, according to 247, and his number puts him at 1, if that's what his rating is going to be at the end of the season.
Blake, I know that you said you thought this list was very good, but I mean, if you were to just say one guy that deserved a spot in here, name that one guy.
Maybe Emmanuel Tucker, the offensive lineman from New Albany. He is committed to LSU as well. I like having a guy play offensive line primarily on this list. I think they're so dynamic, and I understand that you can't have every single position on there and multiple of them, right? There's only 12 spots, and I didn't think that there was any quarterback that I thought necessarily deserved it. So I kind of looked at it and I go, okay, got a lot of skill position guys, towards the top. I would have liked to maybe seen Emmanuel Tucker from New Albany make it.